Rachel Reeves' Catastrophe, UK Politics YouTube script. Picture this: you're at a party, and instead of mingling with the wealthy guests who could fund your next big venture, you're actively telling them their money isn't welcome here. Sounds mental, doesn't it? Well, welcome to Rachel Reeves' Britain, where we've apparently decided that driving away millionaires is the new national sport. While other countries are practically begging wealthy individuals to relocate with golden visa schemes and tax breaks, our Chancellor seems to think the best economic strategy is playing hard to get with people whose bank accounts have more zeros than a Newcastle United trophy cabinet. The numbers are absolutely staggering, and not in a good way. We're talking about the largest exodus of millionaires in the entire world. Not just Europe, not just among developed nations, but literally the entire planet. It's like we've somehow managed to achieve a world record that nobody actually wanted to win. Think of it as the economic equivalent of being crowned the world's worst driver, except instead of just embarrassing yourself, you're taking the entire country's financial future down with you. Rachel Reeves has been in the hot seat as Chancellor, and let's just say the reviews aren't exactly glowing. Since taking on the role, her fiscal decisions have been about as popular as a vegetarian option at a barbecue. The woman who was supposed to steady Britain's economic ship appears to be steering it directly into an iceberg, and that iceberg has a very expensive price tag attached to it. Here's where things get properly bonkers. According to Henley and Partners, we're looking at 16,500 millionaires packing their Louis Vuitton cases and saying cheerio to Britain in 2025. To put that in perspective, that's more than double what was initially predicted. We lost 10,800 wealthy individuals last year, and apparently, we thought that was just a warm-up act. These aren't just random rich people we're talking about, these are the folks who create jobs, invest in businesses, and yes, pay substantial amounts of tax when they're not being actively encouraged to leave. The really brilliant part is that this is happening while other countries are practically throwing red carpets at wealthy individuals. Italy is offering tax incentives that would make your accountant weep with joy. The UAE is positioning itself as a financial paradise, Singapore is welcoming high-net-worth individuals with open arms, and even the Americans are getting in on the action. Meanwhile, Britain is over here acting like that friend who complains about being single while simultaneously rejecting everyone who shows interest. Dr. Juerg Steffen from Henley and Partners put it perfectly when he said that 2025 marks a pivotal moment. For the first time in a decade of tracking these movements, a European country is leading the world in millionaire outflows. That's us, by the way. We're number one in something nobody wants to be number one in. It's like winning a competition for having the most boring personality or the worst dance moves at a wedding. But here's the kicker: this isn't just about tax changes. According to the experts, it reflects a deepening perception among the wealthy that greater opportunity, freedom, and stability lie elsewhere. Basically, rich people are looking at Britain and thinking, you know what, I think I'll try somewhere that actually wants my money. It's economic natural selection, and we're apparently the dodo bird in this scenario. The root of this financial exodus can be traced back to one particular decision that's proving to be about as popular as a root canal without anesthesia. Rachel Reeves decided to abolish the non-domiciled tax regime, which was essentially Britain's way of saying to wealthy foreigners, come live here, bring your money, and we won't tax your overseas earnings. It wasn't perfect, but it was working. Now it's gone, and with it, apparently, are the people it was designed to attract. Nigel Green from deVere Group has been particularly vocal about this catastrophic decision. He's essentially arguing that Britain is sleepwalking into long-term economic decline by driving away wealth creators and refusing to compete for their return. It's like we've decided to play economic chicken with some of the world's wealthiest individuals, except we're the ones who are going to end up as roadkill. The Chancellor did announce some changes to her original plan back in January, ensuring that previous foreign earnings wouldn't be taxed when moved between overseas accounts. It was meant to be damage control, a way of saying, look, we're not completely unreasonable here. But according to Green, this move was about as effective as putting a plaster on a severed limb. The damage was already done, and wealthy individuals had already started making their exit plans. What makes this situation even more frustrating is the complete lack of any coherent strategy to address the problem. There's no package, no campaign, no legal changes under discussion that would seriously persuade high-net-worth individuals to reconsider their departure plans. It's like watching someone set their house on fire and then sitting back to admire their handiwork instead of calling the fire brigade. The psychological aspect of this whole debacle is perhaps even more damaging than the immediate financial impact. When you dramatically shift the rules with little consultation or warning, you don't just lose money, you lose trust. And trust, as anyone who's ever been in a relationship will tell you, is incredibly hard to rebuild once it's been shattered. These wealthy individuals aren't just making financial decisions, they're making emotional ones based on how welcome they feel in a particular country. Other nations have recognized this and are capitalizing on Britain's spectacular own goal. Italy has introduced attractive tax regimes specifically designed to attract wealthy residents. The UAE has positioned itself as a business-friendly haven with minimal taxation and maximum opportunity. Singapore continues to be a magnet for high-net-worth individuals looking for stability and growth potential. And here we are, essentially telling these same people that they're not welcome unless they're willing to pay through the nose for the privilege. The long-term implications of this exodus are genuinely terrifying when you think about them properly. These aren't just numbers on a spreadsheet, these are job creators, investors, and innovators who drive economic growth. When they leave, they take their businesses, their investments, and their economic impact with them. It's like voluntarily removing the engine from your car and then wondering why you're not going anywhere. What's particularly galling is that this seems to be happening through a combination of ideological stubbornness and economic short-sightedness. There appears to be a belief that wealthy individuals should be grateful for the privilege of living in Britain, regardless of how they're treated fiscally. It's the economic equivalent of expecting someone to pay premium prices for budget service while being insulted in the process. The ripple effects of this millionaire exodus extend far beyond just tax revenue. These individuals typically employ significant numbers of people, from domestic staff to business employees. They invest in property, luxury goods, and services. They support charities and cultural institutions. When they leave, they take all of that economic activity with them, creating a multiplier effect that damages the broader economy. Meanwhile, countries that are actively courting wealthy residents are seeing the benefits. They're not just gaining tax revenue, they're gaining investment, innovation, and economic dynamism. It's like watching your competitors sign all the best players while you're actively driving away your own talent because you don't like their attitude. The most frustrating aspect of this entire situation is how preventable it was. This isn't a natural disaster or an unavoidable economic crisis, this is a self-inflicted wound that continues to bleed because there seems to be no serious effort to apply a tourniquet. Rachel Reeves and her team appear to be doubling down on policies that are demonstrably driving away economic growth and investment. The global competition for wealthy residents and their capital is real, and it's intensifying. Countries around the world are recognizing that mobile wealth is exactly that, mobile. If you don't provide attractive conditions, these individuals will simply relocate to somewhere that does. It's not personal, it's business. And right now, Britain is losing that business badly. So here we are, the country that once prided itself on being a global financial center, actively driving away the very people who helped make it successful in the first place. It's like deliberately sabotaging your own success story and then acting surprised when things start falling apart. Rachel Reeves might have thought she was sending a message about tax fairness, but the message that's actually being received is that Britain is no longer interested in competing for global capital. The question now is whether there's any appetite for reversing course before the damage becomes irreversible. Because while 16,500 millionaires leaving might sound like a statistic, the economic reality is that each departure represents lost jobs, lost investment, and lost opportunity for everyone else. Britain is indeed sleepwalking into decline, and our Chancellor appears to be the one holding the pillow over the economy's face. That's your dose of economic reality for today from UK Daily Coffee. If you enjoyed watching Britain's financial competitiveness disappear faster than free food at a university event, make sure you subscribe because unfortunately, there's plenty more where that came from. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next episode of How to Destroy an Economy in Easy Steps. And if you've got thoughts on whether Rachel Reeves is playing economic chess or just setting money on fire, drop them in the comments below. Until tomorrow, keep your coffee strong and your economic policy stronger than whatever this is supposed to be.